Good morning and welcome to the Central Iowa Real Estate Scoreboard. I'm Heather. She is Misty. Good morning, Misty.
Good morning, Heather.
We're getting ever so closer to the 4th of July.
That's right.
Are you ready?
Yes. I am ready to sit and have fun.
Boy, and the fireworks shops have been popping up everywhere.
Everywhere. It is crazy.
Does that play any sort of part in real estate? Like I would be freaking out if I had a home for sale and my neighbors are shooting fireworks off all over the place. Shrapnel falling on in my yard, on my roof.
Well, you do need to be aware of your city ordinances.
Oh, like people follow those, Misty.
Well, that's what the police department's for.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, we have 4th of July right around the corner. We also have one of Misty's teammates or team members in the studio with us, Miguel Vargas from the transactions team. Miguel, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
If you're just now joining us, I have to confess that I have a huge interest in all sorts of shows on HGTV. And
You do.
Yeah, like I am into all the flipping shows, the real estate shows. Selling Sunset is something I have just recently discovered. And they are talking about 5 features that every home needs to impress buyers.
Well, first, let's just talk about Selling Sunset for a little bit.
You want? Okay. Not all agents look like that.
I think it would be very cost prohibitive in the Des Moines market to have a glam team get you all ready before you go out and show.
My goodness.
$100,000 homes in Des Moines.
Yes. Totally agree.
But wouldn't that be fun?
And there's not as much drama in normal real estate, at least the kind of drama that you see on Selling Sunset.
Right. We have different drama.
Yes. Not that it's drama-free. It's just different drama.
Exactly.
But yes, and this series is on Netflix. But, even amongst the glammed up squads and some of the crazy drama that goes on, they do actually have some good real estate advice, too.
Yes, they're starting to realize that's part of what they need to. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have some great tips or like little pieces from the show that are really things that make a great property.
And one of their tips is a closet for the kitchen. I thought we called this a pantry, but
Really?
yeah.
So, well, Selling Sunset, in California, that is actually where Miguel started his real estate career in California. So he might have a little more perspective on how they do things than I do, having only sold real estate in Iowa.
Well, it's all about excess and what you can show off.
So that's why it needs to be a closet instead of a pantry. Like, we're going to put this out front and center. It's going to be all glammed up. Look at all the storage.
But
Look at the wet bar in the middle of the closet.
On the example, it really looked like just a room, and then you open up these sliding closet doors, and it's like, oh, there actually is a kitchen here. There's ovens and a sink and all of that. So I don't know if that's part of like a streamlined, modern, minimal look.
Oh, gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand exactly what I was
what
looking
are
at.
you even talking about?
They put their kitchen in a closet.
It's nice to be able to use your kitchen for other reasons, I guess.
How common is that out in Cali, Miguel?
It sounds sort of like a new thing to me. I remember seeing things close to that, but, it's for a show. So they're going to show something new that people may want to be a part of or have.
Yeah.
That's true. Another one, glamour in the garage. This was from episode 4 between you and Bree. And this is a $25 million house, but the garage looks like a glamorous ballroom.
See, I think it looks kind of like a giant parking garage. It's so large, like there's a pillar in the center of it.
Yeah, that too. But you know what I mean? Like, who bothers to put features on the ceiling of their garage?
Right. Yeah. Or there's a chandelier in one corner, it appears.
Yeah, a couch. What is the seating in here for?
Now, we have people in central Iowa use their garages as like a man cave.
Oh, no. We're one of them. We are definitely one of them. But our chairs tend to fold up and be put away into a cabinet. This is like an actual.
Well, you know what? No need when you've got
Sure, yeah.
10,000 square feet in that garage. No
You're
need.
right. I could still park 10 cars in there. Chair gets to stay along with the table next to it. But that's actually, this is glamming up your garage could add value to your home even in central Iowa just for the reasons that you mentioned.
Maybe even more so in central Iowa because we do love our garages a lot here.
And it can actually, if you do it the right way, even be kind of considered extra living space. If it's insulated, maybe epoxy floor.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great things that can be done to garages and it does like become a further extension of the home instead of just a place where you're storing your car.
They recommend an herb garden in the kitchen.
And this was in a 6-bedroom, 8-bathroom home listed for $33 million. So they could afford to put a really lush herb garden in that kitchen.
Along with the custom herb cooler.
Oh, keep them fresh.
Yeah. A resort-style home gym.
And
this looks like it has plants on the wall.
yeah, they have like a garden on the walls because when you're working out, who wants to just look at a bare wall or like a television when you can look at like you can have a living wall?
And they say if you're working out, you need the oxygen that the plants are generating.
Nice. Like, yeah.
Only on Selling Sunset.
Right.
And an offer to leave some key furnishings. This was in another episode where potential clients were looking to sell their house. The real estate agent, impressed by the place, asked if the couple planned to keep the furniture. They agreed to sell it furnished and even say they'll include the white piano as a bonus for the future buyer. And then they shared that Justin Bieber used to play this piano when he would come over to their house.
So that was like name dropping that
Right.
Justin Bieber's their friend.
Justin Bieber has played this piano.
Well, you know, I have a piano in my office and Miguel Vargas has played it.
Well, it
You
was
do
there.
tickle the keys. I have heard you play the piano.
Uh-oh.
That's right.
Yikes.
No, you're really good. What are you talking about?
Real estate.
No, you're right. He is a good piano player as well. Another reason to call Misty. You might walk into her office in Indianola and there's Miguel tickling the ivories. 515.
He needs 2 more. He's great at it.
Yeah, 515-575-9950. Coming up after the break, we're going to get to know Miguel more and kind of start walking through the process, the steps, what happens behind a transaction, because this is one of the reasons why Misty's team is so great for both the people on her team, the real estate agents, and her clients, because a lot can go wrong, a lot can go right, and it's all because of the transactions team. We'll get into that next on the Central Iowa Real Estate Scoreboard on 106.3 KXNO.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corcoran. I built the #1 brokerage firm in New York City by marketing luxury homes to the most qualified buyers. What makes the difference today in your area? The same thing, custom marketing to the right buyers. In Des Moines and Central Iowa, the agent I trust is Misty Solwish. Her personalized marketing plan sells more homes for more money. If she can't find the right buyer on your deadline, she will buy it. Get the best marketing for your home. Go to soldincentraliowa.com and put more money in your pocket.
It's time to get Misty with it as Misty checks out the Central Iowa real estate scene. What's going on this week, Misty?
Well, I think it's really interesting to review. We've talked at different times on this show about some of the misconceptions that someone currently renting might have about buying a home. And one of the biggest misconceptions is how much down payment they need. We try to get the word out. We talk about a lot of the great programs that are available, but nearly a third of prospective home buyers think they need a down payment of 20% or more to buy a home. And that myth remains one of the largest perceived barriers in achieving home ownership. So today's median home or down payment is less than 20%. For first-time home buyers, it's 6%.
Oh, wow.
Significantly less.
Yep.
And even for move-up buyers, the median down payment is 14%. So these are people that already have owned a home. That's what we're seeing as a median today. A lot of factors involved in that, but it's just so important if you have home ownership as a goal to talk to a great agent, to such as someone from my team. We will get you connected to a great lender that knows the programs, the down payment assistance programs, the Iowa Finance Authority, closing cost assistance programs, all of those different things that can really make it much easier to own.
My co-host, Sean, just a week ago or so, said, how much do you think I'll need to put a down payment on a home? Because his lease is going to be running out sometime in the middle of next year. And I had said, you need to start talking to a lender now. I said, I'm not a lender, but I can hook you up with a great one.
Right.
And I talked all about those same things that you talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
There is help, and you definitely do not need 20%. And you said now the median price or the median down payment for a first-time home buyer is 6%. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Right. So call Misty, get the conversation started. And we are in here with another one of Misty's team members, Miguel Vargas. He is in the transactions team. Thank you again for joining us, Miguel.
For sure. Glad to be here.
Earlier in the show, we were talking about the piano. We've learned that you play the piano. We were also
Yes.
we also learned that you're originally from, or that you've lived in California. So I guess let's start there. Where are you from originally, and where have you?
What's your story?
Yeah.
What's my story? Well, in a nutshell, I'm from Los Angeles, outlying areas, born in the county, so I'll just always say Los Angeles. And born and raised there, started in real estate there. I was in property management. Then I joined a sales firm and started doing accounting and transaction coordinating, actually. So that's where I got the little bug, I guess.
All right. And what brought you to Iowa?
Well, it was a shift for my partner's work. He's an educator, and we said, okay, Iowa, let's go.
Had you heard about the weather here when you guys decided this?
I had, but it didn't mean anything to me. I'm a cold weather person, so it suits me.
Wow. And that is not normal for somebody that was born and raised in L.A.
I know.
He's meant to be here in Central
Yeah.
Iowa.
Yep, this is where I'm at.
So your partner's career brings you to Iowa and the cold weather, which you apparently are a fan of. But then what brought you to Misty's team?
It was actually recruiting. I got licensed almost 6 years ago, and I was a solo agent with another firm. And in the conversations, it came up that they were looking for a transaction coordinator. And I said, well, you know what? Maybe I'll give that a try. And so, boom, after a few interviews, I joined the team.
And Misty, when you were coming all those years ago up with the team concept, why was it so important to have, client services, the transactions team, and then your team of real estate agents?
Well, because prior to having a team myself, I operated as a solo agent for 7 years before I owned my own brokerage. Owning a brokerage, I had administrative support within the brokerage that did a lot of work on my business as well. And I really watched as teams were becoming more predominant in other parts of the country, like what are the advantages versus an agent that's busy, being great at marketing, being great at nurturing opportunities. A lot of times, we say all the time, even if you're thinking of doing something a year from now, start talking to us now. Well, if an agent is busy every single day showing properties and negotiating deals, remembering to keep in touch with someone from a year ago can be pretty tough. Once it goes under contract, all the different details that make a transaction run smoothly is very difficult for a solo agent to do when they've got a lot on their plate. So when you break down all of these different pieces, it makes it so you can have systems and have it be a lot more efficient, a lot more effective, and be a better experience for our client, but also keep the real estate operation running more smoothly. And a lot of times agents that are more detail-oriented and really love the pieces of the transaction aren't necessarily the ones that are great at remembering to be very intentional in like growing relationships with people, or people that are like, they just love that connection with the people. They love that part of the business. They're like, I really don't like the details of it. It'll just all like fall into place. So we're just able to get people that enjoy the real estate business, but are able to focus on something that really works with their natural talents and their personality.
And so you obviously, being on both sides of the equation, decided that you kind of like to get down into the details.
Definitely. I'm always into details, sometimes too much so, and I have to remember some people aren't. I have to just cut it off.
So I guess let's talk about the steps and what happens during a transaction.
Well,
Like when you're first copied on something, that means that there has been an accepted offer, correct?
right. The first step that I take is I open up the file. I look through all the paperwork, make sure we have signatures there, make sure that all of the paperwork is signed. Maybe if there's something extra in there that's not a part of the contract but an add-on, you know, just so I know what's going to happen, and then
Yeah. Well, and very often, like the agents that negotiated the deal, what they put on paper makes sense to them because they talked about it, but how it was actually written does not make sense to other people viewing it, right?
That happens quite a bit.
So you are able to look at that and go ask questions of our agent, like, hey, what did you mean by that? And maybe we need to rework this a little bit, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And we need that clarity so that we are doing this transaction properly. You know, we want to go down this road instead of that road, and it's very important.
Right. What are some, and I know we talked with John about this last week, but what are some of the, in addition to the steps that you take throughout the process, what are some of the things that may cause surprises for people?
Well, you know, sometimes, unfortunately, this can happen later in the transaction, but if we know ahead of time, this is good to communicate with your realtor. If there's a lien on the property, if there's some sort of problem that comes up on the title, a cloud on the title, and if you know something is there, it's great to tell us ahead of time so that we can prepare and look ahead and see what we can do with our attorneys if need be, or reach out to a vendor that may be involved in this title issue.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's situations like there's a mechanic's lien on the property. There was some sort of dispute with someone who did work to the home, and they placed a lien on the property while payment is being resolved. Mm-hmm. That's one that we see a lot. If there was some sort of glitch that happened, I mean, sometimes we're dealing with sellers in a distressed situation and they're behind on their property taxes.
Yes.
Sometimes it's their income taxes.
Right.
And so those are all things that Miguel he does a great job of working through. But I kind of think you enjoy like figuring out how to solve these problems.
I do. You know, you get to be like Inspector Gadget. You're like, okay, what do we got here? So, and you end up talking to a lot of people, calling places, emailing people. It's quite a process, but it's very satisfying once you've figured it out, and especially for the client, which is most important, because they would never know what to do, and it's so frustrating if they know there's something holding things up.
And I know that as an agent that gets to a certain point in the process and then kind of passes the baton to you, I do know just how much goes into it. Once I just start following along with everything that's happened since transactions becomes involved.
Yeah, you
do an amazing job. And I guess we can start with, so the sales worksheet, Misty, that kind of explains how everything is going to get divided up, right?
Well, and this, I mean, it's an internal document. We don't like share with the client like, oh, here's our sales worksheet. But it does help us like clarify who are the different parties involved. What else is on there, Miguel?
Oh, if there's a home warranty, if there's another party involved in the transaction, if there's a fee for something, like a transaction fee, let's say.
Yeah, right. It just outlines like all the financials that are going to occur. It's just a snapshot for us of everything that's involved. And so that's something that we do right away when it's a new transaction so that everyone on the transactions team internally and our accounting department knows what we're looking at.
Then the next step is inspections.
Right. And that can be a big one. Sometimes it's smooth and other times it's not because people like to request things, the disposal isn't working, or maybe we don't have GFCIs in the kitchen or the bathroom. So little things like that come up. And so we follow up on those as the transaction goes along. There's a certain amount of time we need to get that all completed. And
the handy reminders that you send agents to make sure that those get done.
Yeah.
And while we're on the topic of transactions, and either one of you can answer this, I know that for a while we were going through a situation where a lot of people were bypassing inspections because the market was so tight and people had to act so quickly. Are you seeing people going back now to asking for inspections, being able to request some things be done, Misty or Miguel, as far as inspections go?
Every once in a while I see a person taking the house as is, but I think it's a certain situation. Maybe it's an investment property,
right,
which makes more sense. But I still see a lot of inspections.
Yeah, I think that they've kind of come back up in the number of inspections, which I'm really glad about, because I think that an investor buying real estate is a very different situation than someone that's buying that they don't have that extra perspective or experience. And so bypassing an inspection to make your offer attractive, like while I understand why it became something that was a tool to be able to win an offer in a tight market, it creates a lot of stress to someone after they buy a home. And we've definitely seen examples of that this year from people purchasing last year, bypassing inspections and having surprises.
Yep. The next step is getting the abstract ordered. Sean was talking last week about how sometimes people have no idea what that document is, much less where to find it.
Yeah, there's a lot of places we look, and one of the rare places may be just with their personal attorney. And when you find that out, you're like, oh my gosh, well, where are they? Well, they're halfway across the state. So, it's, again, more a search of things that we have to find.
Well, and then we also, when we're on the listing side, even if we have the abstract, we have a little bit of an idea if there might be a potential lending issue going on based on if that lender has ordered the abstract update yet, right?
Yes, and that does happen more often than not, actually. So we often are rushed in the end to get those abstracts updated, but we have a great relationship with these abstractors that help us out a
Yes.
lot.
Next, you move on to termite inspections, then the appraisal.
Right. And the appraisal is one of those last things that always seem to come in. We're always glad when it's like quick and fast, but a lot of times we wait till the end. And sometimes they have some conditions placed upon the appraisal. They can be minor, and as minor as fixing some paint on a shed or replacing a doorknob or something like that. And we just get the seller to meet those conditions. The appraiser will go back out, everything's settled, and we're ready to close.
And what is a deed package?
A deed package is something prepared for the seller. It's signing the deed, basically, over to the buyer, and some other disclosures that come along with that. And has to be done with a notary. That's one important thing. And oftentimes it's hard to coordinate that because maybe we have a seller that's out of state. So we either do signing online with a notary, or we can have the papers sent to them and they can meet with the notary and have all of that done and sent back to us.
Yeah, the virtual notary option that started coming available during COVID, but was really pretty slow to be fully embraced in central Iowa. That's something that just this year we've started to be able to take advantage of a little more.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people are surprised that, well, I'll be here, but my spouse will be... Because if you are married, your spouse has to sign it, even if they were not on the title to the house.
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. We see that happen, don't we?
Yes.
Because of dower rights.
Then the next step is the mortgage payoff being received, title opinion completed. We're getting closer to closing.
Yeah. Those can be easy things, as long as we talked about the abstract and the title. So as long as we get the abstract order in, the title does come. And the mortgage payoff is really quite simple. We just have to make sure that we have all the account information from the seller. And sometimes that can take a little bit of time because if people only deal with online things, they don't know how to find their account number because it doesn't show. If you log into your bank account, you're going to see you don't see the account number right there.
Right. You have to get an actual statement.
Yeah.
And again, just listening to some of the things that Miguel and the transactions team do behind the scenes, as a real estate agent, I'm glad that you're there to help. And I can't even imagine trying to sell your home on your own and doing all this, Misty.
Right. I mean, we have like 15 people that are involved in every transaction, and we are professionals.
Yeah.
Someone trying to do it on their own, they might think they have it figured out because they read something online. But we see time and time again, we deal with a lot of people selling privately that we're representing the buyer. And we really have to hold their hand along the way because they have no idea what they don't know.
Miguel, thanks again for coming in and hanging out with us.
Sure.
And it was interesting to hear how you heard about Misty's team because there's another meet and greet coming up, Misty.
Yeah, July 11th. You go to joinmistysteam.com to sign up. But if you're curious about real estate, and I think we've heard here, like the opportunities that we have on the team aren't just for people that are in sales. We have a lot of different ways that you can be part of the interesting real estate business. But at the meet and greet, we tell about our story, we tell about what we do, but we also have team members talk about what their experience is and share it. Because it's just an amazing, satisfying career, and we just absolutely love it.
And again, it's joinmistysteam.com. The next meet and greet is July 11th at 5:30, and I'm assuming that's at the Indianola office?
It sure is, at our Indianola location at 117 East Salem Avenue.
It's right off the main drag in Indianola. Beautiful building, too. Again, joinmistysteam.com, and we'll be back next week right here on 106.3 KXNO.